Guten Morgen und willkommen zu unserem wöchentlichen Tourismus Namibia Programm oder Magazin. Mein Name ist Frank Scheffen, ich bin der Redakteur der Allgemeinen Zeitung und natürlich vom Tourismus Magazin, also Tourismus Namibia Magazin, muss ich sagen. Wie immer wollen wir Ihnen hier heute ein paar Nachrichten bringen, natürlich auch ein paar Urlaubsideen vermitteln. Und dann nicht zuletzt haben wir auch diesmal nicht nur ein Interview, sondern gleich zwei. Und mit diesen Interviews eben eigentlich auch gute Nachricht. Also, aber bevor wir jetzt in das Programm eintauchen, gucken wir nur mal schnell, was es so an Reklamen gibt, die Sie sich anhören sollten. Topics, ja, unsere Hauptthemen für die Woche. Wieder habe ich 3 Themen rausgesucht. Das war in dieser Woche relativ einfach, weil wir tatsächlich viel Umweltthemen hatten. Es handelt sich ja hier mehr um Umweltthemen bei diesen Nachrichten, bei dieser Nachrichtenrubrik. Und auf aller Leute Munde ist natürlich Etosha, der große Brand in Etosha. Das ist eigentlich traurig. Die meisten dieser Fotos wurden uns zugesendet von Frau Ute von Ludwiger. Vielen Dank auch dafür. Das ist halt tragisch. Sie war in dieser Woche oben in Etosha und hat halt diesen riesen Feldbrand beobachten können. Buschfeuer sind ja normal für uns in der trockenen Zeit, aber in dieser Größenordnung haben wir schon ewig nicht mehr gesehen. Also und ja, das gehen die Gemüter, streiten sich so ein bisschen. Vom Ministerium für Umwelt, also Forstwirtschaft und Tourismus, gab es dann die Nachricht am Ende, sie hätten es jetzt seit gestern unter Kontrolle. Und das wären am Ende 2545 Quadratkilometer, die da abgebrannt sind. Naja, die Gemüter gehen da so ein bisschen auseinander. Ich werde Ihnen später eine kleine Karte zeigen. Und laut dieser Karte ist das nicht ganz möglich. Inzwischen können Sie natürlich sehen, Feuer ist immer faszinierend, das ist natürlich so. Aber was uns eigentlich alle entsetzt hat in den Medien, ist ganz einfach dieser totale Mangel an Zusammenarbeit. Wir hätten gedacht, dass das Landwirtschaftsministerium sowie das Umweltministerium sich irgendwie die Hand reichen und gucken, wie sie das am schnellsten auf die Reihe kriegen. Ich meine, es darf ja wohl nicht sein, dass hier Leute sitzen und mit einem alten Farbeimer Wasser auf das Feuer verteilen. Hier auf dem Foto ist das gut zu sehen. Ich meine, damit wird das, weiß Gott, nicht gelöscht. Das ist mal ganz sicher. Das ist, die Mühe können Sie sich sparen. Und es ist ja nicht ein Mangel an Willen von den Arbeitern. Ganz im Gegenteil, das Personal muss sich ja da teilweise auch einem Risiko ausgesetzt haben. Aber ich bin mir ganz sicher, wenn diese Ministerien geklopft hätten, entweder bei der Armee oder sogar den umliegenden Städten, die mögen wie weit weg sein, da hätte es doch bestimmt eine Möglichkeit gegeben, eine Feuerwehr dahin zu schicken und diese ganze Sache ein bisschen koordiniert anzugehen. Stattdessen brennt dieses Feuer wirklich seit dem 12. Oktober. Also das sind Riesenmassen, die da abgebrannt sind und die Tiere natürlich, das ist überhaupt keine gute Nachricht. Wir hatten endlich gute Weide für die. Hier, diese Karte habe ich einfach mal reingebracht, damit ich Ihnen das erklären kann. Also angeblich sind das jetzt 2545 Quadratkilometer. Wenn man die Pfanne daneben nimmt, die Salzpfanne selber beträgt 4760 Quadratkilometer. Und wenn man jetzt mal davon ausgehen würde, dass das vom Areal her 80% der Pfanne wäre, dann wären das schon 3800 Quadratkilometer, die da abgebrannt sind. Aber ich will ja einräumen, dass das nicht unbedingt ein direkter, guter Vergleich ist. Aber dann müsste man trotzdem, wenn man die kleinen Blöcke nimmt und einzeln misst, denn da unten gibt es ja den Maßstab und das zusammenrechnet, dann kommen immer noch so zwischen 3.200 und vielleicht eine Idee mehr Quadratkilometer zusammen. Und das ist das, was ich nicht verstehen kann. Das hat ja auch die Farmen daneben betroffen. Und am Ende geht es jetzt los. Ja, wer hat die Schuld? Es geht nicht um die Schuld. Es geht darum, es kann doch nicht angehen, dass wir mit Farbeimern oder Wassereimern einen Buschbrand dieser Größenordnung angehen. Und das Schlimme ist jetzt, die Tiere werden nach Westen abwandern. Das heißt, man kann ja sehen, dass es teilweise bis nach Okakweo vorgedrungen, dieses Feuer, also in die Nähe zumindest. Und da braucht man sich dann nicht viel zusammenrechnen, um zu wissen, dass die ganzen Tiere sich jetzt in den Westen begeben werden und dadurch automatisch auch den Druck auf die Weide da und die Bäume in der Richtung wieder vermehren werden. Also ich finde es echt schade, dass man da das wirklich nicht auf die Reihe gebracht hat. Also da hätte man ein bisschen besser machen müssen. Aber naja, gut, wir werden ja hören, ob das wirklich bei den 2.500 Quadratkilometern bleibt. Ich selber zweifle ein bisschen daran. Also ich finde, viel wichtiger ist jetzt eigentlich, dass es nicht wieder zu einem Feuer kommt. Denn noch ist die heiße Zeit nicht vorbei und unsere Regenzeit ist nicht unbedingt jetzt, die kommt noch erst. Gut, zweites Thema, Swakopmund. Da haben wir Ihnen auch wieder Fotos. Das, was Sie hier sehen, ist Fisch. Und zwar seit 17 Jahren scheint sich das eingebürgert zu haben, dass Leute aus der Gegend von Okahandja zum Swakopmund-Damm fahren oder laufen oder was immer sie machen. Der Swakopmund-Damm liegt ja noch weiter unterhalb im Lauf des Swakop-Reviers von Großbarmen, nur ein Stück weiter runter, etwa 30, 40 Kilometer. Und da haben die jetzt als Polizei 4 Tonnen, ich muss das korrigieren, 4 Tonnen Fisch konfisziert. Jetzt muss man sich das überlegen, 4 Tonnen getrockneter Fisch, das ist eine Riesenmasse und das ist ja nur, was man jetzt da gefunden hat. Die Polizei hat es dann verbrannt. Gab es natürlich wieder die eine oder andere Stimme, ja, das hätte man ja auch eben an Leute verteilen können, die im Moment nichts zu essen haben. Aber ich bin mir auch ziemlich sicher, dass man sehr schnell der Polizei dann wieder den Vorwurf gemacht hätte, dass sie unvorsichtig sind, wenn dann vielleicht Leute durch Fischvergiftung sterben. Also das ist nicht nur einfach ein Fall von, komm, wir nehmen das Zeug und verteilen das schnell um. Ich kann schon verstehen, wenn es lieber vernichtet wurde. Es ist halt nur schade, dass es erst wieder so weit kommen musste. Ich bin mir mal ziemlich sicher, dass man auch vorher schon gewusst hat, dass hier im Großstil Fisch verfrachtet wird. Wohin, weiß ich gar nicht. Aber es wird wahrscheinlich nach Windhoek sein und natürlich auch Okahandja in diese Gegenden. Denn man sieht ja, das wurde in große Säcke verpackt. Ja, und dann haben wir noch ein Foto für Sie, so ein bisschen tragisch eigentlich. Das ist ein Foto, das oben im Nordwesten entstanden ist. Wir wissen ja, dass es da oben noch einige Elefanten gibt wieder und so weiter. Und dieses Foto wurde von Kristin Winter gemacht und von der Elephant Human Relations Aid Gruppe verschickt. Die hatten uns erlaubt, das Foto zu benutzen. Ich finde es halt ein tragisches Foto irgendwo und auf der anderen Seite ich finde das eine erstaunliche Mami, die da steht, dieses riesen Elefanten, diese Kuh, die immer wieder Sand auf das kleine Kalb streut, nicht weil sie es etwa vergraben will, sondern einfach, das Kalb kam wohl irgendwie behindert zur Welt, kam nicht hoch, ist auch am Ende verendet, muss man leider dazu sagen. Und statt jetzt zu warten, dass die Sonne es verbrennt, denn diese Kleinen kriegen extremen Sonnenbrand, wenn man nicht aufpasst, ist sie dann immer wieder hin und hat da eben Sand über das Kalb gespritzt. Es ist halt irgendwie ein tragisches Foto, aber auf der anderen Seite auch unwahrscheinlich, hat eine unwahrscheinliche Wirkung auf den Menschen, der halt tierlieb ist. Denn sowas sieht man nicht jeden Tag, eine Kuh, die derart stark sich für Kalb einsetzt. Und Elefantenkühe sind ja bekannt dafür, ganz egal, wie behindert das Kalb zur Welt kommt. Die bleiben also meistens bei diesen Kälbern, bis sie verendet sind. Und dann sogar noch ein Stückchen weiter. Also die Totenwache kann ziemlich lange dauern bei denen. Und eigentlich wollen sie auch verhindern wollen, dass die Schakale und Hyänen daran gehen. Am Ende kommt es halt, wie es kommen muss, denn das Tier wird ja auch durstig. Aber es war einfach mal was ganz anderes. Also Ich hoffe, Sie haben diesen Teil der Show trotzdem genossen. Und jetzt werden wir uns als nächstes mal zusammensetzen mit Chloe Dürr. Ich freue mich schon, wir werden Ihnen wieder ein paar Urlaubsideen bringen unter Destinations. Right, welcome back. As you can see, Chloe Dürr has joined me in the studio now. Welcome,
Hello.
Chloe.
Thank you, Frank.
Chloe is looking very much forward to our live broadcast, which we'll do at the NTE in the coming weeks. She already told me she can't wait.
Dropped the bomb on me now. He just chooses his moments. Very strategic, Frank.
No, but be it as it may, yes, obviously we hope to have some very exciting photos and destination points. We might actually revise it and see how we best shape it for the live show at the NTE, because at the NTE the Namibia Tourism Show is likely to take much longer than just half an hour, so I'm sure we'll get the right content for you to enjoy. So that's just a heads up for that time. Yes, and then Chloe's obviously brought us new contributions for this week.
Yeah, I mean, following on from one of our previous editions where we discussed our Orange River trip, I wanted to talk a little bit about the route home from Orange River along the C13.
C13 is the one going parallel to the river.
Yeah, parallel to the river, you know, from Alsenker to Roshpina, it's about a 100-kilometer dust road. And honestly, it's one of the most scenic roads I've ever driven in my life, because you're passing the grapes, vines, and everything on your left-hand side, and then you've got the rugged Richtersveld National Park, and it's just, you know, unlike any other route in Namibia, because it's so lush and green and
exactly, that's what you see in the far there is actually the Orange River, isn't it?
No, that's, and then it ends up being like right on your doorstep.
Yeah, exactly.
And it goes through periods of being almost like a moon mountain landscape, followed by, you know, winding around the hills, and it's just and it's actually so well graded, because it's obviously a farm road, that it's buttery smooth. I mean,
you obviously know. Remember, we had that photo once as a photo of the month or week, where these huts, they are from migratory workers.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And as you can see here, you've got the river, excuse the dust on the window, but you've got the river right next to you, and then you're traveling through these mountain ranges. And I remember you once telling me about Boerplaas, which is a campsite that's also if you wanted to stop, that's a great, I mean, I had a look. I mean, it's right on the I think it's a dam rather than the river. Yeah. But again, I mean, just look at this hazy mountain. Yeah. But what I found incredible was I was driving there in August, and it's flower season in the Namaqualand during that time. And it's often forgotten that Groot Namakwa makes up Namibia as well. So a lot of the Namakwa daisies had actually infiltrated into the, as you can see, this is almost on the road to Roshpina, and you've got the daisies had already started taking over there.
A Namibian would normally automatically accept that those must have been Divilkies.
No,
just looking at the photo from afar.
I see what you mean. But there were fields of them. I mean, I'm not sure if a photo showed actually how many. And I think we should actually start including Namibia in the flower route, because, I mean, you.
It is actually included.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, no, I know. For example, remember we brought that video of Namakwa Ture. Mm-hmm. They actually extended some way into Namibia. So it really depends how much time you have and what you want to do. But I know that they, for example, do that.
Because it's such a contradictory to have this mining, then this riverside farming, and then these luscious flowers and mountains.
But did you actually visit some of those grapevine farms?
I didn't. I was in such a rush.
So nice.
Is it amazing?
You must do it next time, because I remember some of them have their little on-river sort of floating bars and whatever, and some of them just have a house and you just look down. But what was interesting, I always remember as we drove down towards the lodge now, and it had these tiny little boards saying, please drive slowly, small grapes asleep.
They all have, at least they have such a good sense of humor. I mean, I loved Namibia signage. It's actually something that we should focus on one time because it's actually hilarious. Yeah. And then actually going further north was a visit that I did actually a while ago to the Damara Living Museum near Tweefelfontein. And I have to say, it was, I mean, it's the first, it was the first of its kind in Namibia, and it's the only Damara museum. And it's actually, because of their social structure traditionally, they actually didn't manage colonization as well as some of the other cultures, and so they are, in inverted commas, more of a dying nation. And this preservation with living museums I see as so important, this whole conservation tourism being something that I think not only is important to fight poverty, but also just to preserve the culture. And I've got to say, this was one of the most informative museums I've been to, because I make a point of visiting the living museums all around. And here you learn about the way the huts are built, you learn about the different perfumes, the ochre that they use on their face. And it's just, blacksmithing is a huge part of their culture. And it's just so, some of the time you feel as though it's staged, but here it was so beautifully organic that I thoroughly enjoyed the experience, I must say.
I always find that all of these living museums, I don't have a problem with them at all. To me, it's exactly what you've said. It shouldn't be stage play pure. It should be sort of a dedication towards your culture and showing off what your culture does and has. Whether that be in Damara land in this case, or Wambuland, or even in the Sun people over in Bushman land. That to me is not the issue. For me, the issue is it must be somehow authentic. And if it's only done simply to please the visitor, then you immediately feel that this is not convincing.
Exactly. And it's not even about convincing, it's about kind of being passionate about your origin and your culture.
Exactly.
And I have to say that this was the chief of the village, and he was so knowledgeable and so excited to share, how he lives. And it's just, seeing them dance and, even learning how to play Awela, which is a game that actually I used to spend a lot of time in Kenya as a child, and we used to play this with the children in Kenya. And so it's a game that is used widely.
Game, really.
And because I already knew how to play it, because I'd grown up playing it, I spent hours with the chief, like playing the game. And
you were surprised that you could actually
He was surprised, but it just goes to show, I mean, like, African culture is just so, diverse, and it stretches across the whole continent, and there's similarities in every country. And so that was a beautiful moment to be able to share that with him.
But you must always remember that most of our people, no matter where they come from, they essentially came from Central Africa, moving down. And that's why there are often so many similarities, whether it's the languages. I remember knowing the one, he was a Wambu gentleman. He worked with me as a colleague. And then one day we drove right up, we went from Grootfontein right through the Zambezi region, which was then still Caprivi, going into Zambia, and we ended up in Tanzania. And he was always able to communicate with these people.
Yeah.
And then he said, no, for years he used to be a truck driver himself. And so over the years he realized that many of the languages just differ that bit. Some of them clearly have a different language tendency, but then for a certain region, it's more dialect than really a different language.
I completely agree with that. And that's what is so beautiful about travel, being able to pick up on those different nuances. But yeah, so I think making a point, especially now during COVID, to support the locals, it's always wonderful when they are putting up initiatives like that to not only preserve their culture but also make a living in an otherwise arid landscape.
On us, really.
Completely.
Because normally you would find that foreign tourists go there and have a look.
Exactly.
Now there's nobody. Like it or not, if somebody gives you €2, it takes them quite a bit forward. For us to give the same amount, we would need to give $40.
Exactly.
So we just need to understand that they can't survive without us.
And it's so worth it. I mean, even just to educate yourselves on, I mean, the Damara were the first people to move down to Namibia from the north. And so their origins in this country are, deep-seated. And so, it's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to take us to Etosha. Etosha obviously is in the news now often
so
because
sad.
of that sad burn, felt...
Have they gotten it under control?
Well, they say so, but there's still arguments about how much is burnt down, but it's a substantial portion, that's for sure. And so I just hope the rains come in early, because you can basically say from Namutoni going almost right up to Halali.
Yeah.
We just spoke about it, Halali actually, but anyway. So just going those areas, I can't see many people or many animals surviving there. So they'll probably go towards to the western side. But the sad part is now that comes under pressure as well.
I mean, it's so dry at the moment. It's unsurprising that a fire would have started. But with all these winds, I'm hoping that rain is actually on its way.
Yeah, and the big heat obviously contributed.
Yeah. But anyway, I just think, Etosha is just so beautiful in its kind of how like opaque it is, because it is obviously a pan at the end of the day, and it's 16 million years old, this clay pan. There's something, sometimes you'll go to Etosha and see like game upon game upon game, but other times you'll go and you are literally just
looking at the surroundings.
But the landscape really is quite incredible. And I mean, these were just some iPhone photographs that I think kind of capture the essence
of what they
and
are,
the character. You can drive for miles and not see anything, but you have these really barren landscapes that are so incredibly like, I just think, and when it's cloudy, I think is when it's really at its most beautiful, because it kind of like illuminates the white.
I just wanted to say it's almost as if the sun is lighting up that white sand even more.
Exactly. But I think the ghost elephants are also what kind of, emphasize the whole clay and salt feeling that you get when you go to Etosha. I mean, even this tree is kind of whitewashed in clay.
Yeah.
And so it makes for like a beautifully like photographic destination, obviously. And I mean, it's not unknown. Everybody knows and loves Etosha. And Etosha Pan actually means Great White Place, which obviously these photos just show it is.
It's a massive place.
When you compare this to like Sossus Vlei, it's like once again you cannot even believe that it's the same country, because it's like so. It's so
but
starkly
here you've
different.
obviously stayed just right next to the pan all the time.
Yes, I was actually, but just because I was overwhelmed with, I mean, I had actually come from Sossus Vlei to there, and for me it was like sensory overload to see that bright orange, and then this just like, almost like you had died and gone to heaven, and it's just white. So, that's the beauty of the Namibian landscape. I mean, it's ever changing.
And one shouldn't make the mistake simply because those photos were not taken closer to the actual salt pan, which obviously makes, I can't remember, I think it's almost 35% of the whole Etosha Park. But if you go further down to Halali and Okakwiu and beyond there's obviously lots of bush as well. So it's not only the pan.
Yeah, it's not only the pan, but the pan
But this is just to illustrate the colors, really.
Exactly, yeah.
No, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for bringing us some
Short
ideas.
one today.
We need to send her out because we say we're running out of new ideas. So let's see what we can do.
I'm not opposed to that. I could get up and leave tomorrow, so I'm pretty happy to hear that.
I must admit I would be the same, but it isn't. Thank you for watching. Ja, das waren die Destinations und keine Bange, wir haben doch noch einiges im Petto und werden auch ganz bestimmt sorgen, dass wir Ihnen immer wieder Neues bringen können. Denn Namibia hat ja wirklich genug im Angebot. Also freuen wir uns auch schon auf die nächste Woche und viel wichtiger, wie wir da in der englischen Sprache angedeutet hatten. Wir werden auf der Namibia Tourism Expo, die ja vom 4. bis zum 7. November beim SKW stattfindet, werden wir an dem Samstag unsere Tourismus-Sendung live vom SKW aussenden. Und dann können Sie ja sich das entweder da angucken oder mal gucken, wie wir das so anstellen, damit hier hoffentlich was Ordentliches zustande kommt. Das liegt ja nun nicht an mir, das zu beurteilen. Tatsache ist, wir wollen das dann ein bisschen größer gestalten, weil wir natürlich die Wettbewerbe der Tourismusmesse dann da zu Ende bringen und die Gewinner ankündigen und so weiter. Da wird dann übrigens auch der Tourist des Jahres bekannt werden. Also wie gesagt, wir freuen uns, wenn wir Sie dann da sehen. Als nächstes haben wir jetzt To the Point bereit, also das ist ja meistens unser Interview und in diesem Fall haben wir zwei Interviews, einmal mit Ian Stevenson von der Brauerei, die hat uns eine gute Nachricht gebracht und dann ist das ein Jan Barend Skierpas, der ist von der Vereinigung für erneuerbare Energie, aber hören Sie gleich selbst rein. Welcome back. Ian, good morning to you.
Morning to you. Thank you very much for having me, and welcome to all the viewers.
Yeah, it's Ian Stevenson. He's the NBL manager for global event.
Sponsorship and events.
Global sponsorships and events. Yeah, obviously we asked Ian to come in this morning simply to quickly talk about your sponsorship, obviously. But before we go there, just quickly tell us, what do you do at NBL so that the viewers may know?
Well, Frank, looking at what's happened over the past couple of years, sponsorship has become very synonymous with brand building. And, it's a very emotional thing, sponsorships. You appeal to people's emotions more than anything else. So we try and do that through our brands, through our sponsorships that we do. And objectively look at exactly what it is that NBL would like to do, and ONL as that matter, for that matter. And well, it just has grown exponentially, and here we sit in 2020. Yes, COVID has had an impact on sponsorships per se, but it's still a very important part of any major company.
Yeah, and this is exactly where it comes in. We're obviously not that far away anymore from the NTE, the Namibia Tourism Expo 2020. It's going to be held on the 4th of November, going right up to the 7th of November. And obviously we've got a good thing going there, because for a change we do something for the community again. And more importantly, obviously, for tourism. Tourism is what we do here. So my question is, and this is the good news, you've decided to sponsor our drive towards enabling people to get hold of a $1,000 voucher each time, and you're contributing $250,000 to it, which is obviously a great thing.
Absolutely, and it's in our centenary year. We turn 100 years on the 29th. And it's an opportunity to give back to the community, because we can't celebrate out in the open.
Yeah, I don't think you would have ever imagined that the centenary year would be as
we were
quiet.
Planning on big parties, being a brewery. But no, so we'd very much like to give back to the community. And COVID, one thinks of Namibia as quality meat and quality beer and all those good things, but tourism plays a major part. Yeah. And the previous minister, Honourable Minister of Tourism, Environment and Tourism, said it's not just up to the ministry to look after tourism in the country. It's up to every individual and every Namibian company to do their part. And this is our part that we can play in giving back to the community in this part. And as I say, tourism and the people out there have been very good to us over the past 100 years, and it's a way of giving back to the community.
So is it only giving back, or is there what is it else that you want to achieve by sponsoring this?
Well, we'd like to rejuvenate the whole tourism industry as such, because as I said, it plays a very important part in the foundation of Namibia. And we've been very supportive of the Hospitality Association of Namibia over the years. And this year wasn't feasible. So we just felt that there needs to be another avenue which we can plow back into the community, and this seemed a good platform.
Yeah, just to explain this whole thing, if you haven't read about it, I would be more than surprised. But obviously we've got this initiative at the NTE. We're sponsoring a total value of 1 million, each being $1,000 ticket or voucher that you can win. But as a winner, you need to attend the NTE. You must be there, and you must literally book a holiday at the NTE. This is really a move to revive the tourism industry from a local point of view. And I remember many of these guys saying to me, yeah, but the local industry cannot be more than 10%. It now seems with all these initiatives that are going on, not only from your and our side, it seems as though we could actually be much further than 10%. And this really needs to be, because we'll never know, is there next COVID or not?
You know, Frank, to be honest, very few Namibians, I think, have actually traveled the country. And it's a beautiful country, let's be fair. And one always wants to go abroad and go elsewhere and everything first. Why? You know, really, let's explore the country and watch this space. One of our major brands, which is also turning 100, next week, is going to have an initiative next year, early next year, boosting exactly this, a bucket list little surprise.
Yes. Yeah, we obviously had your sister company, Own Our Leisure, here recently, and they obviously also supporting the whole NTE concept and so on. So as far as we're concerned, we actually had a talk to Katrin here on the show the other day, where we introduced the fact that, for example, the Allgemeine Zeitung will actually have a support where we will dish out vouchers to old age people, so that we can somehow entice them to come to the Schlagernacht, which will be at Midgard. So
absolutely,
January. So this is similar, but the NTE for now is our big focus. The idea is obviously to get the people much more involved and to actually make them understand that I think tourism, the penny has dropped to a large extent, that you need to focus on the local industry much more. And I know many of them have said, yes, but we've always done it. Yes, you have always done it, but possibly not enough. And so to secure this whole thing and to get this out into the region, because that's the other side that we're trying to promote, is that we get all these guys out there from the neighboring countries to come to us.
Absolutely. And we've seen it just in our sponsorships of the Fish River Ultramarathon the cycling event, the Quest that Windhoek Light has sponsored over the years. We've had some very interesting characters coming from abroad, and they've thoroughly enjoyed the country and have extended their stay as such after the event to actually explore and to see more of what there is to see. And I would encourage all Namibians,
to do the same.
Do the same, because why save up and go abroad when you've got so much beauty and things that you can experience within the country? And you need time, you need lots of time, because it's vast.
Well, that's the thing. You don't need to do it in one weekend, do you?
Absolutely not. No. Absolutely not. And you can plan your getaways, and I'm seeing that a lot of the tourism outlets, as it were, are now geared to cater for local tourists.
And that's exactly, and that's why I mean this impetus shouldn't be lost. We should continue this whole
absolutely,
time.
Absolutely, because tourism isn't, as you correctly said, it's not only for the overseas and for the
I'm a tourist in my country.
Absolutely, and I love going. I've just been up to Tasha, for example, and you know,
and everybody says it's so nice.
It is so beautiful. It is really,
except those parts that have obviously burnt
down. We were fortunate that we went just before the burning, which is sad to see.
Yeah.
And this country desperately needs a good rainy season.
Yeah.
That is no matter of fact. But there are just so many beautiful sights that one can experience. And
so, will you, as NBL, take part in the show?
Yes, indeed. It's quite interesting when one thinks of NBL. One always thinks of beer.
Well, I admit I do.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But over the 100 years, we've had to become very innovative as well. And there are certain people that are not allowed to, or don't want to, or whatever, partake in alcohol.
Yeah.
So we have brought out some very interesting products which are non-alcoholic.
I've actually tried them.
Beer-based, and 3 lovely products. So we're going to have tastings on Horizon, which is a lemon, an apple, and a berry. Yes, and it's one. Very few people know that perhaps it's brewed by Namibian breweries and made by Namibian breweries. And this is a platform that we can use at the NTE.
Which are the 3 ones that you have now?
The lemon, the apple, and the berry.
Okay.
And well, you can take your pick as to which you think is the best.
I must admit, I prefer lemon if it is in beer.
That's a personal preference.
No, others who said no, the berry.
The berry, and then others say the apple because it's more like it's
a bit like apple moss then. Yeah.
And I think it's it just gives the experience to so many more people to actually choose what they would like to drink, and not force them to drink an alcoholic beverage. But
I'm sure you'll still have your other products.
Oh yes, indeed, and they'll be readily available as always in Namibia. And at various tourism places, at lodges and every place that one visits. So we are proud to be solely Namibian, and very thankful and pleased that so many Namibians return to what their roots are.
Yeah, and this is really it. And like I said, I keep talking about it, but it is important to understand. This whole initiative, 1 million is not exactly small money. And
definitely not.
So by contributing 250,000 towards it is really a big buy-in towards technically giving 250 people the possibility of having a $1,000 discount on their next holiday.
Exactly.
And the only thing is you need to come to the show. You've got nothing to lose. If you go after half an hour and say, no, it wasn't for me, okay, then hopefully next time we'll do it better. But to me, the most important part is I think many people will be surprised at how much you can still do COVID or no COVID.
Absolutely, and I think one just has to be responsible in what one does, and I must say there, Namibian Breweries has been, and O&L for that matter, has been very good. Yeah. Be it staff, be it corporate citizenship, it's been very responsible. We've stood together as NBL in a time of crisis.
And it was a hard time.
It was. We actually closed down, and we were able not to lose one person through retrenchments, and that is an amazing stat. Yeah. That's an amazing stat. We said right from the beginning, if we can get through this without losing any staff and having to retrench people, that will be first prize, and we've been able to achieve.
And I think most people are aiming in that sort of direction, but it's not automatic that it will actually work.
No, it took hard work. It really did, and it took people being multi-skilled and upskilled in various different aspects of the business, helping out where help was really needed. And we were, just little initiatives like the leave bank, for example. Guys had taken leave because the factory had closed down, and they had expended all their leave.
Yeah.
And with the initiative that NBL drew together was to donate leave into a pool so that people could actually
so they could actually share
that.
Wow,
and that was
that's
done
a nice idea.
just out of the goodness of people's hearts, and that's how a company has been able to survive, I think, 100 years of standing together and doing things together under extreme difficulties. And people were just so pleased to be able to have a job to go back to.
But that's a big thing, is it not?
Absolutely.
You know, up to now, more than often in Namibia, you find there was this automatic thing is get the year behind you and see what the next raise will bring. You know, suddenly people have said, what can I do better to be sure that I've still got a job next year? Not only for their own sake, but for the company's sake of, you know, remaining in there and being able to sustain not only your job, but all the jobs.
Absolutely. And I mean, sustainability was one thing that was really top of mind. And it's one thing to be able to survive, but to be sustainable in your survival is another aspect altogether. So yeah, kudos to Namibian Breweries, and it's a great company to work for. I really can.
No, once again, thank you for the contribution. So before we part, is there any final thought on tourism? Where do you see it going in the forward? How do you see NBL tying into that?
Well, I think it's a vital cog in the whole Namibian being, if I can put it that way. And we will support the Hospitality Association. As you said, we've got a sister company in O&L Leisure. We will support where we can. As I said, it's a very important aspect of Namibia to not only expose and have Namibia appreciated amongst locals, but also to get the income that is brought in by the people coming in from abroad, and that generates income, and
it sustains us all.
It sustains us all, and it ties in beautifully with the whole our sort of motivating aspect, and that's our theme of creating a future-enhancing life, and you know, to be quite honest.
But I always feel there's something missing at the back there, something ending with a prost or something like that.
Well, we can always add that.
I'm sure Sven is waiting. Anyway, thank you for joining us here, and hopefully we'll see you guys at the NTE and partake in this magnificent opportunity. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
Now today I have the privilege to speak to the chairperson of the Renewable Energy Industry Association, Mr. JB Skeepers. Now we do this with a focus on the Namibia Tourism Expo that will be happening between 4 to 7 November at the SKW in Windhoek. Now, during the Namibia Tourism Expo, we will be adhering to all relevant COVID-19 regulations. This includes, for example, keeping wide open spaces between people and the stalls. Now, this year's theme for the Namibia Tourism Expo is renewable energy, and this is where Mr. Skeepers comes in. JB, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me today. So, yeah, I'm JB Skeepers, and I'm currently the chairperson of the Renewable Energy Industry Association of Namibia, or I just say REAON. And just a small background on myself. I'm a Namibian engineer who in 2015 started working in renewable energy for Innosun Energy Holdings, and we were lucky enough to build the first large-scale solar farm as well as wind farm in the country, and a few after that. And for those of your viewers and listeners that don't know, Namibia's had an incredible transition regarding its energy generation in the last 5 years. It's actually been a massive success, and I've been very proud to be a part of it. And last year I was given the opportunity to stand as chairperson for the association. And since then, our mandate has been to try and rejuvenate the association so that we're a little bit more representative of the way the renewable energy sector looks like today. The association had been established quite some time ago. I believe it's more than 10 years ago. And the landscape in the sector looked very different then. It was primarily installers and contractors and hobbyists, to be honest, that were playing with this thing. And there was 10 years ago, everyone was like, does it really work? Is it ever going to really work? And it's like, oh no, it's always so expensive and so on. And those initial founders of the association have actually done a great success at really laying down the roots for this eventual success that we see today. But now, since 2015, and especially really escalating in 2017, 2018, there's been massive investments. Probably some of the biggest investments in the country have been into renewable energy. And we thought it was prudent that the association now starts representing these larger investors, the larger independent power producers, as well as the guys who actually started it all off. Yes. So it's the smaller guys that are installers and contractors and so on. And what we would like to do is we would like to have a single platform where all of these stakeholders are able to constructively discuss issues, problems, and help formulate not necessarily an agreed to way forward, but that there's some transparency in what everyone is doing, and that I'm a very big believer in a small country like Namibia. Brutal competition doesn't work. I'm a very big believer of co-opetition.
Yes. And
if all the various stakeholders are able to discuss regularly, I definitely think that all development in the sector, as well as any other sector, to be honest, can be
coordinated, perhaps.
Can be coordinated, but actually just be very promising.
Yes.
Yeah, and
of
exciting.
Course. I think that's really, really impressive, JB. Also, renewable energy is a really broad term, Can you maybe perhaps tell us more what it entails?
So, this is often, if I'm going to become very academic about it, it's often quite a big debate, and some people would argue that something like nuclear, for instance, is renewable. Others would be saying, no, there's no chance that that's renewable. But trying to avoid that discussion, in the context of Namibia, renewable energy is broadly considered solar photovoltaic. So those are the standard panels that you would see on people's roofs and so on, as well as wind generation. So you'll see in Ludritz there's now a major wind farm, and then I think in Walvis Bay and in Swakop you'll see some businesses have little wind farm or little windmills on their roofs. And one of the more exciting technologies that we believe will be coming to Namibia in the near future is biomass. So that's where we actually extract the invader bush such as swartak and prosopis and so on, and we convert that organic material thermally into energy, into electricity. So those are probably, I'm leaving out a whole bunch.
Yes.
So people can probably...
Just examples.
Yeah, these are just the three major examples that I think are very relevant in the Namibian context.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, really, I think a bright future, especially also for biomass. Okay, and you guys are going to be at the Namibia Tourism Expo, but how does your association fit into the tourism industry, for example?
So when we found out that this year's Tourism Expo's theme is on renewable energy, we obviously approached the organizers, and they were more than happy to include us, which we're very, very grateful for. So the way that we see it, and this is especially on the, I could probably make an argument actually for both sides of the coin. As I explained before, we've got the smaller entities who we represent, who are the original members, and their incorporation into Namibia's tourism offering, I think, is already quite evident. Everything from isolated boreholes that no longer have little windmills. Well, you could even argue that a windmill, the old blast windmill,
Yes.
is a form of renewable energy. But you'll see a lot of those have now been changed into little solar panels. The same with very isolated lodges that you'll find in the desert or just far away from any of the NAM power transmission lines. All of them are now islands in essence regarding their own solar generation and battery storage, and that's how they power themselves. And what's very important about that, one of Namibia's key tourism offerings, in my opinion, not that I'm an expert, is that it is these expanses that are somewhat untouched. And
Yes.
it is so important that these isolated lodges don't suddenly have these power lines running across our landscapes just to give them energy. So I think in many ways there's a multi-dimensional value add, both in powering lodges as well as making sure that our offering isn't tainted, our tourism offering. And then something like biomass is obviously incredibly exciting. Not that it's yet taken off to its fullest potential, but I have strong hope that in the next 5 years we will see this. But that will really have a massive dent on our invader bush problem in the country, and that will drastically improve our savanna,
Maybe.
the ecosystems around savannas being re-established in the
Yes.
appropriate way with the savanna game out and all of that, and that will be also great, more of a Serengeti-esque feel. But I don't want to say that that's maybe biologically I'm saying something wrong there, but I guess
That's the idea.
yeah, that's the idea.
I think it's really, really promising, and also you guys will be at the Namibia Tourism Expo and possibly some of your members. Please tell us, where can we find you and so on?
So I unfortunately will not be there. I will be traveling internationally, but several of my board members will be there, and I'm sure that we will be on the expo locality maps. And I know that one of our members, we've just started getting our members to sign up through us to also advertise and have stalls at the expo. And so I don't want to ramble on exactly who all has confirmed and so on, but I can say that Namibian Engineering Corporation, NEC, is one of the members, and they themselves are an old constituent of or member of the association, so they in their own right will be able to explain to any of your listeners or viewers in great detail what the association's about, where we're going, and what we would like to achieve with it, and how to get involved. So we definitely encourage any of your viewers and listeners, please go to our website, go to our Facebook, and come and talk to us at the expo, and please get involved in the conversation of renewable energy in Namibia.
JB, I thank you so much. I think you guys have a bright future as renewable energy in Namibia does. So we are looking forward to be hearing more from you and hopefully write about all your successes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Ja, und das waren unsere beiden Interviews und das bringt uns im Prinzip schon zum Ende der Show. Wie gesagt, denken Sie dran, wir haben die Namibia Tourism Expo 2020, NTE 2020, also unsere Tourismusmesse, die vom 4. bis zum 7. November stattfindet im SKW. Und ich hoffe, Sie da willkommen heißen zu können, nicht nur ich, natürlich NMH und unsere restlichen Sponsoren, natürlich sehr viele Betriebe zugesagt, erfreulicherweise. Ich finde das wirklich schön, denn das Ganze ist ja nun mal eine Initiative, um dem Tourismus wieder auf die Beine zu helfen. Und ich kann Ihnen eins versprechen, das ist, weiß Gott, kein Reibach, den NMH da macht. Das ist ganz einfach, ja, es ist ein Dienst an der Gemeinschaft. Das kann ich Ihnen wirklich persönlich bestätigen. Wird nicht viel Geld mit verdient, sondern das ist unsere Art, wie wir gerne zum Tourismus beitragen wollen, da wir ja auch das Tourismus Magazin haben. Und wir fühlen uns also schon Teil des Sektors und haben das Gefühl, wir können da ein bisschen helfen. Und hoffentlich helfen Sie uns, damit wir dem Tourismussektor helfen können, indem Sie einfach mitmachen. Bis dann verbleibe ich und ich wünsche Ihnen noch ein schönes Wochenende. Tschüss.